Hey lovelies, it's Victoria back with a movie reaction, but this time around it's not a spoiler-free movie reaction, it is a spoilers talk movie reaction. So spoilers ahead, warning you ahead of time. And also today I will be joined by a dear friend of mine who will be talking about it with me on Avatar 2: The Way of Water. And so my friend who will be joining me today is a comic book writer and a fellow film enthusiast. Please let's welcome Andrew.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew, and I see you, as they would say in Avatar.
Yeah, I see you.
Ooh.
So, how are you, Andrew?
You know, I'm doing good. I am definitely not blue today.
Okay. All right, let's just get into it. So, in my last video, I told you guys my thoughts on the film, which was I loved it. And I also loved the first movie beforehand, but I really felt that this second one really brought a lot to the table in ways that I did not even imagine that it would when they first announced that there would be a second one. What about you, Andrew?
You know, I was expecting it to happen, though I kind of lost count after the fourth year of them postponing it. But it was definitely bound to happen, you know, between James Cameron, you know, going and exploring under the sea so he can have material and inspiration as he was waiting for technology to get to where it needed to be. You know, it's out there in all of the memos and everything.
Exactly. And so, when it comes down to it, what exactly went on in this movie? Let's talk about that. So, what do we talk about first? Maybe you should decide, Andrew, since you're the guest here.
Well, let's look at it from the beginning and kind of work our way forward in, you know, chunks. We aren't going to go through the overall movie due to time restrictions here.
Yeah.
But, you know, I will say that some of the script for The Way of Water, although different, did come out as a comic a few years ago. However, you know, I have read parts of that particular comic, and it was definitely different than what we got in the film. Now, with the film, what I really enjoyed was the fact that we definitely did a walkthrough of the passing of time from when the sky people, humanity first. Humanity first. Anyways, that's for you, Generation Tech. Anyways, yeah, from that to Jake Sully, you know, having the birth of his firstborn child, and then, you know, adopting Kiri, and then
having two other children.
Yep, and then pseudo adopting Spider.
Spider. Oh,
yeah.
So much to talk about him in a sec.
I'm kind of mixed on him, but, you know, then I just thought it was really interesting on just, you know, when the Sky People returned back to Pandora, you know, just how they came back, and, you know, Jake was able to realize that they were coming back just by the look of that new star. And
they made a grand entrance, which was kind of brutal, in my opinion.
It was brutal, but it was epic. Plain and simple.
Yeah, epic. It's like, couldn't you just land it a little bit nicely on the ground?
The thing you got to remember is Pandora is a highly hostile environment. So by them doing what they did, they cleared out massive amounts of dangers so they would have a bridgehead. That's all I am saying here. You know, it's just standard protocol, standard tactics.
Okay, if you say so.
Hey, I'm a practical human, not a Na'vi, so.
When Jake saw that star and Neytiri saw it, oh, yes, they knew what was coming back to haunt them. But they probably didn't realize to the full extent of what else would be coming back to haunt them.
Which comes to the simple question, why so blue?
Yes.
So,
why so blue?
Yes, so why so blue?
I'm so blue because it's Avatar talk time. Why
Yeah.
are you not so blue?
Humanity first.
Ugh.
Anyways, the way they brought Quaritch back and the others was very interesting because for years I had heard rumors that he was going to continue being this villain, but obviously he died in the first film.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of questions as to how they were going to accomplish this, but the only thing that made sense was, like a clone or imprinted personality or evil twin brother. Hell, I even had an idea where they did some sort of sacrificial resurrection for him. Well, it turned out they made a Na'vi clone of him and
A Avatar. It was still
a
an
recon.
Avatar.
Recom. Anyways, and imprinted his personality. So I guess a pseudo clone with imprinted memories.
Yes, and that means that he is not truly Quaritch himself, just a imprintation of the man that he was.
It's kind of like you clone the family dog. It's never going to be the same dog.
So let's also talk about Jake and Neytiri's children for one, because there is a lot to uncover with them, obviously. So who should we start with? The oldest, Neteyam?
Yeah, the eldest. I'm horrible with names, so I'll let you be the official name remembering person.
It's Neteyam, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So he is the oldest son, the firstborn, and he was pretty much born full-on Na'vi because he doesn't have the normal yeah, it's got the four fingers. And also they try to set him up as being like the perfect son or the perfect warrior to be son. But he's really a good kid. He was protective. He was loving. He looked after not just his younger brothers, but he looked after all of his siblings. And he just wanted to do what was best for the family.
I actually liked him because he stood up for his younger brother quite a few times,
yes.
and
That's hard to find in movies.
Well, there's that, but I'm a younger sibling. I have an older brother, and there has been a few times, not often, but there has been a few times where he's stood up for my own screw ups. So I could actually relate to that. Just like I could relate to, the younger brother.
Loak?
Yeah, Loak. I could relate to him because I kind of, a lot of younger siblings kind of feel like they're the screw-ups.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying all.
Or big disappointment or just the one left out.
At least Loak wasn't one of these princess complex characters.
No.
Yeah. Daddy, I want the candy bar.
No, he was definitely
Definitely not that. Honestly, as a younger sibling, I could relate to Loak in that context.
Me too. And feeling like a outcast, an outsider within a family, outside of a family. And also, he was not purely Na'vi. He has normal human hands, and also, but he still is pretty much looks like a Na'vi or Avatar.
I will admit, I love the part where, he and his siblings get caught by Quaritch.
Quaritch!
Tomato. And, he gives him the one finger salute, and it's like, yeah, this is Sully's kid.
Yes.
And then I like later on where he's like, hey, want to see a trick? Does this and clocks the
Bob.
Exactly, clocks the one kid. Yeah, you know what?
The chief's son.
Yes, exactly. I'm just saying, though, I mean, hats off to him. I mean, there's a lot of people that gets bullied, and frankly, more power to Loak.
Yes, very.
Like, I will admit, I love where Sully's like, how bad was the other kid? And it's like, real bad.
And he's like, good.
Good.
So I love that we got to see. Some people are iffy on this part, but I'm actually am happy to see him form a relationship with this whale-like what are they called again?
We'll just call him
His name is Piacon, but
We'll just call him Piacon.
He's a whale-like creature on Pandora, and there's many of them, but he befriends him, who basically saved him.
Well, and that... Well, here's the thing, though. Piacon, I will admit, in the film, suffered from, basically, what's the term? I'm trying to think here. Basically, a lot of people just said a lot of rumors about this, about him, and it wasn't true.
He was known as the bad apple who didn't belong
the
anymore.
rogue, the outcast, just basically...
A traitor.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is a lot of cases out there where people will have bad rumors said about them, and everyone will believe these bad rumors,
and
even though it's not
entirely true.
I mean, I know I've been a victim of that, and
so have I.
Yep, there you go. And I know a lot of other people has had that happen to them. So,
it was a nice
it's
relationship.
Relatable. It's relatable.
And Loak could relate to him, feeling kind of like a bit of a,
outcast,
outside of the group as well. So that's how they were able to truly bond.
Well, if you think about Loak's song from Here on Earth could be Standing Outside the Fire from Garth Brooks, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
Well, that's why I'm the guest star here.
Okay. This guy right here.
If I haven't made any of you at least smile, there's a serious problem. Go to Pandora for R&R.
Oh, God.
All right. So this next part, I've been graciously been allowed to start on this one.
Really?
Well, behind the scenes cut. Anyways, here's the thing. What's interesting about this film is we also get to see a good bit of, family issues as well as worldwide issues as well. And personally, I find it very interesting because, you have all these different things going on. You have Jake trying to keep his family safe. He's trying to protect them. He's also trying to protect his people. So he does a great sacrifice by leaving his home tribe and passing down leadership to the next generation, all in the name of keeping his family safe. And he also had to do a good bit of convincing with his wife because she was really wanting to continue the fight. And
as she promised her father
absolutely,
in the first film.
Absolutely. So, very honorable individual in that context. Meanwhile, we have what's going on with Spider and his dad. The two of them.
And who is Spider? Who's his dad?
Miles Quaritch's son.
Quaritch!
Tomato. Anyways, yeah, so you kind of have the father trying to reconnect with the kid, but at the same time trying to accomplish the mission. So you have all that going on. And then we have the whole aspect of, the Sully family showing up with the water people, water Na'vi, and, they're trying to fit in, and obviously there are some big differences. Like, one, they aren't like living in the forest. They're literally living on the edge of like this marshland at the edge of this reef.
And they thrive in water.
Yeah, and you can even see that they have modification.
Fin-like.
Yeah, fin-like, parts on their arms, and they have
tail.
A flat, a paddle tail.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And yet they still look Na'vi, just in a different way.
Yeah. They do have a paler, aquatic skin tone. They have beautiful blue eyes, I'll admit. And it's different. And then we also have the whole thing of Earth has effectively started colonizing Pandora as well as the new home.
Under the guise that the fact that Earth is dying. So,
yeah.
And I wonder whose fault is that?
Well, I blame Barney the dinosaur. So, with fossil fuels and everything.
Sure. And,
Well, we all know what happened with Barney. He hung himself so he could contribute his body for fossil fuels. So,
God.
anyways, so it's interesting how, we have like three different perspectives going on. We have Sully and his wife Neytiri. We have the kids, and of course the kids are going through their usual film thing. They're new in town. They they kind of get harassed for being freaks and all of that until they finally earn the respect of the cool kids, or in this case,
two of them get harassed for being freaks because they are not true Na'vi.
Until one of them, shows them a trick, and then actually stands up for the chief's son and takes the blame because he understood what it was like for being the disappointment. His words, not mine. So, another aspect I wanted to point out with the whole, dilemmas and everything going on with all these different parties and all, is actually Kiri herself, because she is going through her own series of,
let's call it personal journey.
Yes, personal journey, and I suspect the next movie we're going to be following her real heavily, the Seed Bearer.
And also, who is Kiri for that factor, because she is not exactly the biological daughter of Jake and Neytiri.
Nope, she is the daughter of Grace from the first film. Now, how I have my theories, and it's kind of on the Messiah biblical level, but that's just me just looking at it from a perspective, mystery father. I mean, what's going to happen? We're going to have Kiri fall to the dark side. I mean, what would we even call that? Darth Na'vi or something?
No, I definitely, that would just be kind of ridiculous if they come.
Well, I mean, like last time we had something like that in film, as far as I can remember, it was Anakin, and he kind of went to the dark side, kind of went back, cut off his kid's hand, and a bunch of other stuff.
Jesus didn't go to the dark side.
So, okay, we have one good apple and one bad apple. So let's see which direction Kiri goes by the end of the third movie.
Exactly.
So, as for the other one, Took is your typical young kid in a film, the whole, hey, let me tag along, hey, wait for me. Your
I want to
typical...
do what you guys are doing.
Exactly. And, it's so innocent, so childish.
And cute.
And yet so accurate on so many levels. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't have taken a young child like that to an old battlefield unless it was like a national park or something,
Even then, I would be concerned.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, you go to one of these Civil War battlefields and, people tour around with their kids and everything. But, not the jungle. The jungle on Pandora will eat you up and spit out your remains, kind of deal.
Yeah, pretty much. But she was so cute. She kind of does remind you of a little sister or a little niece, which I had. She's older now, but when she was little, I could picture her being a Took.
Oh gosh. Like, if I had a daughter like her and she asked me for a Mickey Mouse doll, I would take the little doll, put it on the counter, and then grab the biggest Mickey Mouse doll and hand it to her and say, you want this one. And, I mean, God, she would be so spoiled because, I mean, love,
You would do that.
Yeah, I am a teddy bear, so there you go.
Now, let's talk about the different messages and themes that were conveyed in the film. For one, I would definitely have to say that keeping your family safe
That's important.
Yes, and kind of a way where it's like you're not, instead of fighting back for your family like it showed in the first film, it's more so trying to find a way to protect them without anybody else getting hurt along in the process, which is basically hiding or taking refuge somewhere else.
Yeah, thing is, it's always good to have parents that are willing to protect their family.
Yes.
I mean, my mother once told me when both me and my older brother was born, she knew right then and there that she would fight and die to keep us both safe.
Yes.
And, you know,
Like a true parent normally would think.
yeah,
And
Mama Bear.
Yes. Mama Bear. How ironic you say that, Andrew. But yeah, I have to agree with that. Even my parents, too, to an extent, would do probably the most unconventional things when pushed to the limit to protect me and my sister when we were kids, or even still now. And so that's part of what makes this movie what it is.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, the part where Neytiri watched her eldest die and all that, and she basically became...
That
you
was
know,
quick to bring that up.
Well, you know, I just wanted to say, you know...
Let's let y'all know. So their oldest son, Neteyam, he ends up dying in the movie, which was a very sad scene.
It was sad, but if you think about it, he still died a hero's death. Because he was protecting his family, he was helping his family. But
that was still a tragic loss
absolutely.
For both Jake and Neytiri, and also the siblings.
You know, it's kind of like what King Theoden said in The Two Towers. You know, no father should have to bury their son.
No, and they had to bury
their son.
Yes.
But hey, in a roundabout way, they still had a reunion at the end of the film.
Yes, they did. I won't say a final
goodbye, metaphysical kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. And it was lovely. I actually enjoyed that part too. But it was still sad. Doesn't sadden the death any less.
Well, I'll tell you another sad one was just the whole wailing scene.
Oh God.
That was just...
It was a little tough to watch, but...
It was. But at the same time, you know, James Cameron is known as an environmentalist and all that. And, you know, I've seen whales up close and personal, like the humpback whale and orcas and even some dolphins. And, you know, the thing is, you know, that kind of hit home personal to me. I mean, I understand there's a lot of people out there that wants to stop aging and, you know, live longer and all that, you know, but, you know, talk about catch-22, you know, murdering these really intelligent organisms.
Beautiful creatures.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, though I did find it funny where, you know, the one son, you know, got to swim in the mouth, and it's like, oh my God, he's gonna get eaten.
That's what they thought, but nope, that didn't happen. But it was just sad. And then all for what? After they got what they needed out of the body of
they wasted the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, was ridiculous and just completely savage.
As a historian,
and not in a good way.
Agreed. As a historian, you know, I know, like, back in the day when America was whaling and stuff, they would use, you know, all the different oils from the body. They would use, you know, whalebone. I mean, you can still go to antique stores and find old whalebone hand-carved, you know, items, which is really neat to look at. Not something I would buy, but at least they didn't waste everything. Meanwhile, you know, here on Earth, I mean, you have a dead whale floating in the ocean, the sharks go crazy.
Oh, yes, they would.
Yeah, but there has to be a balance. That's the thing. And
that's what one of the things I love about the Avatar films, or at least the way of the Na'vi, is the fact that when they kill, you know that they're not killing for sport or just killing for the heck of it. They're doing it because they're either trying to gain something to eat or they are protecting themselves.
It's like with the Plains Indians from, you know, the Midwest with buffalo. Mm-hmm. You know, using every part of the body. Exactly,
and that's how it's supposed to be, is that kill to eat or to keep from being eaten, if anybody's seen the Jungle Book. But either way, it was kind of a tough scene. And also what happened to the baby too. They didn't really show it, but
that would have made people
implied. Cry. Yes, it was implied that the baby was killed too.
You know, all I'm just gonna say is At least that's one less orphan to worry about.
Oh.
I'm sorry, that was horrible. That was horrible. But anyways, look, orphans deserve love as well. So, just, bad humor on my part.
And there was also themes about like for the fact that Jake and his family went to the Metakayan people. I think that's what they're called. Please forgive me.
That sounds about right.
Forgive me if I screwed the name up, but they are going to them to seek refuge so they can keep their family safe. Now that in of itself is a theme for that is pretty much going on right now with the taking in refugees situation here in the US, and if it's a good idea or not, but still in this film kind of answers that question in a way.
It's really a mixed bag. It just kind of depends on what the circumstances is.
Yes, and they know that the circumstances the Sullys were in were something that they did not want to get involved in, because they know that, okay, you guys are in trouble, and that's why you guys are running from being with your forest people, Na'vi, to being with us, water Na'vi. And are we willing to
adapt?
Well, not just adapt, but are we willing to take you in and let the war come to us just so you guys can be safe? Well, and then it's like, think about the chief himself. It was at first he too, like his wife.
I really liked the chief a lot.
I did too. And I felt like he was wise in how his decision making a majority of the time. And the reason he does end up taking them in, even though his wife, who was played wonderfully by Kate Winslet,
all I'm just going to say about Dragon Lady here is
what?
She wore the pants in that relationship. It was just more of a subtle thing.
Well, in a way, yeah, she did. But then when she and
Wow.
Oh, stop it. She was not that bad. But okay. Well, and her name is Ronal. That's Ronal, around there. And
Dragon Lady.
No.
As Jake Sully would have called her from the first film. Look, I'm just staying accurate within universe.
Oh, God. Either way, my point is that the chief thought very wise about this decision, and he also began to think that it's like, what if this was us in their situation? We would be doing the same thing, just like any sane person with a family would be trying to do. And so that's part of why he decides to let them in and help them to adapt to their way of life.
Well, and the thing is, what I liked was the fact that Sully and his family, when they came, they were willing to learn and adapt and, work with the culture and all of that. And, in Sully's fashion, it was all about, learning about the culture and everything. I mean, I've traveled a lot myself, and when I went to Japan back in 2013, I had to speak Japanese. Yeah, sure, some of the Japanese knew how to speak English, but I'm their guest.
Yeah.
So what they say, when in Rome,
do as the Romans do.
Or in this case, when in Tokyo, do what the Japanese do.
Right. And so that I also agree with that too. Why there's learning about other cultures and having to adapt when it comes to the situation that you need to adapt, that is pretty awesome in its own way. And it's not cultural appropriation, it's nothing like that. It's just, if you want to learn about somebody else's culture, just to learn, just to expand your boundaries of knowing what else is out there in the world, that's a good thing. And also, but for them, they kind of had to adapt, but at the same time, this helps them to be more adaptable to who knows what other kind of situations may come their way.
Hey, Victoria, I hate to tell you one thing though. If I went to Pandora, I don't think I could fully adapt to being Na'vi, because You know, I'm fine with wearing the loincloth. That is totally cool with me. I might scare some people, but, you know, unfortunately, I would have to wear the mask because the atmosphere there is very anti-human, and I feel like I would get chafing from that, so...
Hey, I don't think I would adapt in Pandora either.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, there's also the fact that, you know, what looks like a small animal to a Na'vi is actually a big animal compared to a human.
To us.
Like a viper wolf. I mean...
Or those things that were kind of like alien hyenas or jackals?
That's a viper wolf.
Okay.
Read the lore if you're going to do this.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Sorry, y'all.
This is what I had to put up with on a daily basis.
And this is what I have to put up when it comes to just movie watching. Let's just keep it going, y'all.